This is a Fuji GFX 100S Mark II. It's a medium format camera that's ideal for landscape, portrait, and basically anything that doesn't move particularly quickly. But is it any good for action photography? I've brought it here to Goodwood to find out. Normally at an event like this, I'd be using my Canon R5, which is a mirrorless full frame camera, which is really good for fast action photography. It's very quick, got excellent autofocus, and it's ideal for motorsport photography. What are the differences though between that and this Fuji? Well, first of all is the physical size. The Fuji is a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, but not a huge difference, so it's not going to make a big difference to me. The other difference is the sensor size. So the Canon is full frame, the Fuji is medium format, which is basically a physically larger sensor. It's got more pixels as well, so it's got more than double. So the Canon's got 45, this has got 102. It's got more dynamic range, so basically the image quality is better, it's more detailed, and you can print it larger, you can also crop in more. The other big difference is the range of lenses. So with the Canon, there's a whole range of lenses, even up to 800 plus mil, which is ideal for photographing race cars. The Fuji, while it's got a good range of lenses for landscape photography, so wide angle, medium range, it's a bit limited in terms of telephoto range. So I'm using here today the 100 to 200, which is about equivalent to 80 to 160 mil in a full frame. The largest you can get for this is 500 mil, which is equivalent to about just under 400 on a full frame. So as you can see, it doesn't quite have the range, which might be a limiting factor. Today at Goodwood, that's not a big issue because you can actually get very close to the corners. You're not miles away with big gravel traps at bigger circuits like Silverstone. So that hopefully shouldn't be an issue today. This lens will also be really good for around the paddock and detail shots, so I'll be trying that a bit as well. The other big difference is the speed of the camera. Obviously with a bigger sensor, there's a lot more data to process, so the camera's a bit slower. The Canon R5, in its maximum speed, will do 30 frames a second, which is a bit like a machine gun. This, at its fastest setting, will do 7 frames a second, so quite a big difference. Personally, that's not a big issue for me. I've used DSLRs previously for quite a long time, which only do 5 frames a second, so I'm used to that. I quite like picking my shots and timing them. It's quite satisfying to get it right when you do. I don't really like the whole spray and pray thing, where you just blast it with a shotgun approach. But if you really need to get the exact moment right, then obviously a faster camera like the Canon or other similar mirrorless cameras will make a difference. The other difference is autofocus. So the Canon's renowned for having really good autofocus. It's got really good subject detection with a lot of different configuration. This, I'm here to find out. It's got subject detection. You can set it to car mode, so hopefully it will behave pretty well. But let's find out. First thing though I'm going to do is set the camera up. So what I need to do is set it into mechanical shutter mode. This will give the fastest performance. So whereas on the Canon you get the 30 frames a second with electronic shutter, with the Fuji you need to be in mechanical shutter mode for that. The other thing I need to do is move it out of single frame mode and put it into burst mode. The difference there is you're losing a bit of dynamic range. So in single mode, which I use for landscapes, you get the full 16-bit depth. When you move it into burst mode, which gives you that 7 frames a second, you go down to 14 bits of depth of the image, which again, I don't think is going to make a huge difference. And the final thing I need to do is set the autofocus up. So as I said before, this has got different modes. I'm going to set it to subject detection and pick automobile, and hopefully that's going to work well with the race cars out here. So now I've done that, let's go and find a corner and give it a go. I've had a great day here at Goodwood today, and I've pushed the GFX to its limits in terms of action photography, I think. I've got quite a few hundred shots from various different corners around the track, cars, and I've tried a few bikes as well. If I'm honest, just from looking at what was on the back of the screen, I don't think it's done particularly well. What I'm going to do now is head home, download the images, and have a look on my computer on the big screen and actually see how they look. What I did use it for though was took a few portraits around the circuit and a few still shots, and as usual it's absolutely fantastic for those. So I think really, based on what I've found so far, I think I need to understand its limits. It's been an interesting experiment, but I think back tomorrow, and I think it's going to be the Canon R5. So with the wizardry of editing, I'm going to show you the shots I've got and talk you through some of them, and let you know what I think. I'm back home now, and I've downloaded all the images to my computer and put them into Lightroom, and as you can see I've got just under 1,000 of them here. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'll show you a few that I took. So as you can see, this was one of the bursts I took of this blue car going down the start-finish line. So this was my first location I picked. As you can see, the first one in the series, it's done a fairly good job at getting this in focus. It's not pin sharp, but it's okay. You can probably get away with using this on social media. But as the series progresses, you can see the car's getting more out of focus. The camera's just not keeping it in focus as it should do. It's just moving a little bit too quickly for it. And this is pretty consistent across the different groups of images I took. As you can see, I had quite a few that just didn't work at all. Now if I go to my little selection, so I picked out some of the ones that worked. Now there weren't a huge number, to be honest, with the Fuji. I've got about 10 action shots here out of 1,000 almost, so it's not a particularly great hit rate, if I'm honest. And this was using a shutter speed that was faster than I'd usually use for panning. As you can see here, this one's pretty sharp. It's done a good job here, but I say, 1 in 100 is not a great hit rate. And here's another one, and it's got the driver in focus this time rather than the front of the car. It was a little bit inconsistent. It would sometimes pick the driver and sometimes pick the front of the car. I then moved to another location and did some panning with a slightly slower shutter speed. So this was at 1/160th of a second, which in terms of panning is quite a fast shutter speed. I'd normally pan with a lot slower to get more of a background blur, but I was working my way down and just not getting any success with even this shutter speed, so I didn't really go any lower. The camera was struggling to get stuff in focus and sharp. But as you can see here, this particular one, it's done a good job. The front's really in focus, so I'm pleased with this one. But it's one in not many at all. The other thing to point out is these are the raw images. I've not edited these at all, so they look a bit dull. Obviously they would come out a lot better if I actually edited them, but this is really just to show you the sharpness of the image, not how the colours turn out. All was not lost though. So I went into the paddock, and like I mentioned before, this camera is really good at portraits and landscapes. Now it just so happened that the Formula 1 cast, or a couple of the cast in the new Formula 1 film, were doing some promoting there, and one of the main actors was there. So I've got a shot of him which I shot with the lens at the full range, so 200mm, and as you can see here, the detail's incredible. You could even count the number of hairs on his eyebrows, which I'm not going to do, but I will leave that to you if you fancy doing that. But as you can see, the detail the camera's pulling out is just amazing. This is really where it's really impressive, and it's kind of best to do this kind of photography with it. And this was another location I used which you saw at the start of the video, and as you can see, it's kind of done an okay job, but it's not incredibly sharp. But we'll give it this one. I also took the camera around the paddock as well, using a tripod, so I managed to get this shot, which I'm quite happy with. This was at night, so you had the coloured noses of the cars poking out the concrete garages, and I think this works quite well. The other shot I did was of the end of the evening fireworks, which again, on a tripod, nothing's moving too quickly. The amount of detail you get from this camera is incredible. You can even read the names on the plaques there. So I just want to do a quick comparison with the Canon R5, actually the R5 Mark II, which I think is slightly better than the R5 in terms of autofocus and speed. Not a huge amount in it. So I used this on the next day, so I was there for two days, and I used this on the Sunday, and I took a good couple of thousand of photos on that day. Now if I just go to the ones I've picked, this was just my first run through picking the sharp ones, and as you can see I've got 178 good images here, which is a much better hit rate than with the Fuji. Now if we zoom into this, the sharpness is, it's just so much sharper. And this one I was doing this was a 1/125th of a second, so I started off quite fast shutter speed, and then we'll have a look at some later ones which I got down to. This was 100th of a second, and again it's focused on the number on the driver's door there, which is very sharp, and you get some nice blur just showing a bit of motion in the car. And then I was trying a bit slower shutter speed as well, so I went down to, I think this one's 1/30th of a second, so you got some really nice motion blur, giving a really nice sense of speed and movement. And as you can see here, it's really sharp on just these letters of the James and Jeremy. The camera's done an amazing job of locking in focus and keeping it focused as the car's moving. So I think on this basis, the Fuji's really not in the same league as the Canon for action photography. It's got a lot of benefits. It's a fantastic camera for landscapes, for portraits, but I think this has proved it's not the best camera for motorsport photography, and I think going forward I'll be leaving it at home and taking the Canon with me. But it's been an interesting experiment. I'm glad I've done it, and it's been fun to do. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it interesting. If you have, then please do hit the like button, it really helps. And if you'd like to see more of this type of content and follow my photography journey, then please do subscribe. I'll be publishing more videos in the near future. And I think I'll wrap this up here and just say thanks a lot for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it.